You are listening to 1041 KQTH, Tucson's news and talk. I am the beautiful man. Sitting right across from me is my sexy sidekick, Ross, taking your telephone calls at 751-1041. Mr. Charles in charge. Yes, my friends, this is a celebration.
The celebration!
Celebration of the big top, the conservative circus, the greatest show on earth. Welcome to hour 2 of the James T. Harris Show. Conservative circus. We spent the first hour lamenting over the bill, the budget bill, that does not reflect a lot of our values. But we know that there's been people who have been part of the Freedom Caucus who've been working on this and also on Obamacare. And Paul Gosar is one of those representatives, and he is on the phone right now. Representative Gosar, welcome to 1041 KQTH.
Thanks for having me on, James.
You guys have just got off of a couple of weeks vacation. Some members met the public. Just a series of questions on that. Did they hear that small business owners don't get to take a lot of time off? Were they upset about the fact that Congress seemed to have in the first half of the year taken off a lot of time but didn't get a lot done?
Well, you know, if it's in recess, if it was an easy job, and everybody would be doing it. But I think it was actually beneficial. I ran around the country and then met with lots of people. Mm-hmm. And when you see the results of like this omnibus bill, you know why we need to be back in our districts listening to people, because when you moving a 1,600 plus page bill released last night, doesn't follow regular order, and a vote is expected on Wednesday. That's just not the way you do things, James.
No, it's not the way you do things, Representative. I mean, do they expect for you to read, 500 pages in order for you to read this whole thing?
No, I'll just tell you right now, James. I'll tell the audience, this is an impossible read. What we do in our office, we divide the bill up and we take parts and go through it. And what ends up happening, it's not just an easy read, because what ends up happening is it may allude from one statute to the next statute in an interpretation of a rule. So you got to backtrack all the way through that. So it's a difficulty in reading here. So we don't find good things in a bill. We find usually 3 bad things on a bill, and we will not vote for it.
Well, how many bad things did you find in this?
Well,
I mean, okay.
How does that thing? Let me count the ways.
Yeah, let me back up here. Cause here are the headlines all over the nation. Let me see. Congress deal funds sanctuary cities, Obamacare, EPA, Planned Damn Parenthood, but doesn't fund the wall. I mean, a lot of my callers in the first hour were absolutely disgusted, and we feel like we've been duped. When do we get to see results coming from the House, coming from the Senate that reflect why we voted for President Trump?
Well, that's, kind of comes back to, everything that I've been saying, James, for the last 7 years since I was elected, is getting back to regular order and having an accountable process. You can't have bills like this that are slammed in the middle of the night. And you see Democrats, parlaying like Pelosi did, that they stopped 160 points of reference for what they felt were bad deals within this bill. And then you see Chuck Schumer continue to cry, saying, listen, the president doesn't reach out to us. God, I'd hate to see a worse bill, if the president or our leadership actually reached out to Chuck Schumer to work with him. Jiminy Christmas.
I have to ask you this question because, again, a lot of people are just wondering what this is. Years ago, we were told that if we gave the Republicans the House, and they could begin to push back. We gave them the House. Then if we gave them the Senate, they could push back. We gave them the Senate. Then they still couldn't do it. And then we had Boehner. He ended up right after a major win, giving Obama the bill that he wanted to, and there was an uprising. He got ousted. And then we have Paul Ryan in there. And we have under President Trump, we get this monstrosity, and now people are beginning to ask, does Congress really, does leadership really, is this establishment thing really dead set against an outsider like President Trump? Am I misreading this? What is going on?
Well, James, you also got to take into account the previous health care bill. You know that
Oh, I'm gonna get to that.
The Ryan Care bill. I mean, for God's sakes, if it was passed as was, you would have had higher premiums, no choice, and in court. You know, something even worse than Obamacare. You know, so once again, you know, you've had an outsider asking, pleading with people to make changes. And then yet you still have the hierarchy, whether it's Democrat or Republican, following the same sheet of music in regards to how do you do the business back here. That's totally wrong. You know, so you know, we've got a loud voice, but look, you know, I have to regress back to the health care bill, James. You know, we had lots of people across the country yelling and screaming at us that I was one of the group that held up the health care bill, and thank God we did.
Well, yes.
You know, because it was a bad bill. We've made it tolerable. It no way in shape or form repeals Obamacare, but it actually rescues the American public so that they actually have a choice, have lower premiums, and you'll see imminent reforms within the insurance marketplace. But God forbid, I mean, even my two senators in a public display in Mesa, you know, said it was all because of the Freedom Caucus that we had a problem with the health care bill. No, it was a bad bill, but it emulated from leadership, from a top-down approach instead of a bottom-up.
You're absolutely correct about that, and I was part of that until we had our conversation with you, and then you laid down some serious tracks. You were completely honest with us. You told us what was going on with the bill. You told us about the politics behind the bill, and then we started to try to spread the word, but it was a media narrative that the Freedom Caucus were the ones that derailed this bill. Now the Freedom Caucus is pretty much with the changes that have been made. They're on board with it, but we're hearing rumblings that the moderates are not on board with it. Okay, first of all, how close is the latest version of this bill to passing?
I think we're one or two votes away. I actually think they're
Really?
going to hold a vote. Yep, they're going to hold a vote Tuesday or Wednesday.
And
Thursday on the health care bill.
If this health care bill passes, of course, we're going to have the administration tout that is a huge deal, that they kept their bargain, that they repealed and replaced it. But in reality, this is not a true real repeal and replace bill, is it?
It isn't. It isn't at all. You know, in fact, you know, when you go back to your questions for the moderates, what moderates want is they want Obamacare, point blank. They want those benefits. And that's why it was so important for us in the Freedom Caucus to hold out on the essential health benefits and Title I, which is the insurance regs. If you don't change those, all you can get is Obamacare. And so you have to give some electivity. And so when you go back to 10th Amendment rights, insurance and health care were states' rights. And so that's where we parlayed this into allowing the states to decide what essential health benefits so that they could opt out or opt in. And then looking at the insurance regs that would recreate the marketplace. And then it's important to note, James, you also have to facilitate breaking up the insurance monopolies. You know, that's something that I've been doing, and it's poised in the Senate to get a vote over there. And that means that they're subject to the same Sherman and Clayton antitrust laws as everybody else does. Isn't it a time that we saw true competition in the marketplace?
Yes, it is time that we saw true competition in the marketplace, but I want to take you back to something you said earlier too, as well, and that is, you know, this is the Ryan Care bill as you described it. The Ryan Care bill and the moderates in the House that want to keep Obamacare. If between those two forces, you're arguing that this is the best that you can do. If this thing passes, will that be the end of it? Or will people like you, people who are about competition, continue to try to whittle away at what's left of Obamacare?
Oh, I'm fully on track, James, to whittle this away because as a champion of the marketplace, we got to see that return because we all know that true competition in the marketplace leads to lower premiums and more accountability and customer service. How many patients out there have had, been disgusted by the lack of customer service by their insurance company, take it or leave it type attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden, and same thing with the doctors. Most doctors are on panels. And so now in competition for their services, we're going to see insurers compete. That's why it is such an important nuance to see that Sherman Antitrust being removed, that exemption removed from the medical insurance industry. It is paramount, absolutely paramount that we see this. So I'm not done. This is the first step. I know that, small businesses that comprise over 80% of our business jobs and creation in this country are getting killed by Obamacare. And so if I can make this where I see lower premiums, giving people choice, and rebuilding a marketplace where they actually have to listen to the consumer, listen to doctors, and listen to state executives, and parlay that, I'm going to. And we're going to make sure that we continue on that pathway, because if we don't, we have a single payer program that most Americans aren't going to like.
Will the changes that the Freedom Caucus made that go through, are they going to guarantee that there will be lower premiums?
Well, to be honest with you, we actually had a nonpartisan group actually evaluate those, James, and it's pretty significant. In younger age groups, you could take premiums almost down to nothing up to the age of 30. In age groups up in 50s and 60s, they cut them in half. And that's, given the electivity of states, opting out of the essential health benefits, some of them, and then also looking at parlaying some of the insurance regs, like community rating. So you're going to see that opportunity come. States like Arizona that will say, hey, listen, we want to change those and pick and choose, are going to see lots of lower premiums and competition. Those like New York and maybe California are going to see huge increases in their premiums because they got to have everybody rated like they all have cancer, and everybody's footing the bill.
Wow. Well, Representative Gosar, today we had Steve Bannon come out about the budget, saying that, look, this was not Trump's budget. This was like from last year. We had to kind of get these things done to keep the government open. But the real Trump bill budget will be reflected in September, October. What would you say to my people, to my listeners who think that's a bunch of garbage?
Well, I mean, when you look at this, we're on the tip, and America knows. America knows something is hugely wrong here. And when we sit down with the nonpartisan budget office or tax policy office, and they give us the numbers that from last year to this year, we now saw a $2 trillion additional expenditure that we got to try to balance off. We're in that explosion time of debt service and debt. This is an opportunity. We should have looked at this as an opportunity to get our house in order, to follow up. We're going to, the Trump administration is going to be going to court with sanctuary cities. They're going to be going to court in regards to a number of the issues that California and numerous places across the country are trying to say no to. So from that standpoint, why not take this opportunity on behalf of the American taxpayer, the mom and pops, that give their hard-earned cash back and do a better job of this? Yeah, there's some nice things in here, but it really doesn't address the additional applications that spends more money, is unaccountable, so there's no pay-fors, and we continue to run red ink. We're just spending like a theme ad going out of style.
So what does that say to the American people? That advantage was not taken, that they did not take the opportunity to do this, that dreaded things like Planned Parenthood are still in this thing. What does it say to the American people that the Democrats never had to face this type of stuff? We never had to be disappointed. They always got what they wanted, but now that Republicans are in charge, they still get what they want, and we are left holding the bag. What does that say?
It tells us that we need to hold people accountable, regardless if you're from Western Arizona or you're from Eastern New York, and make sure that our voices are heard. And that's why it's important to have those constituent work weeks, James. So you have to face the music with people. and explain your vote. Why did you do this? If you're an Eastern New Yorker, why did you vote accordingly on this budget? Why did you vote for our debt service? Why did you vote for the health care bill? Paul, why did you vote against it? I'm very articulate of why I'm against something, but I always put something on the table. This was a missed opportunity. A missed opportunity.
There's been too many of them.
A number of us, yeah, and we were just sitting down with a number of my friends and I, and we said, this looks like exactly like the bill we would have passed if Obama was in
office. Exactly, Representative Gosar, exactly, and it's making my head blow up. What is going on?
Can I hold you over for just one more segment?
Sure.
All right, we have Representative Gosar on the line, my friends. You're listening to 104.1 KQTH. You are listening to 104.1 KQTH, Tucson's News and Talk. We have Representative Paul Gosar on the line. He's part of the Freedom Caucus. He just told us that they're only a few votes away from being able to repeal and replace, if we can call it that, Obamacare. We're talking about that. We were also talking about this omnibus bill in which Congress continues to fund sanctuary cities, Obamacare, EPA, Planned Parenthood, and there's no funding whatsoever on the wall. We welcome back to the show Representative Gosar. Representative Gosar, I just want to ask you a point-blank question. We know that the lobbyists are writing this budget, K Street. I mean, they've got to be involved in this because it doesn't reflect what we the people want. How much power do good guys like you really have in this process?
Well, I mean, we do have some power because, I mean, if you look at the health care bill, James, I mean, a group of us in fair number held out and said, listen, this is a bad bill. And we came out publicly saying, listen, this is going to do nothing but increase premiums, give you no choice, and end up in court. And we were right. We stood our ground, and we backed down the giant. And then we started going to town saying, listen, kind of like the same mantra I have, all my colleagues have, is no isn't just an answer. You have to put something on the table to make it. What's your ante? What's your ante point to make the thing better? And so we did. We went to work. And that's how we got the changes that we do, that we can even anticipate having a change to giving the American taxpayer a new opportunity in healthcare and reprieve from Obamacare. But make no mistakes, this is not repeal. This is not
It's
repeal.
not a repeal,
I'll
no.
say it again, not repeal at all. But in order to facilitate all the problems that we have, we've got to get our country back to work again. And to facilitate that, the small business owners, the individuals, got to get some reprieve from Obamacare. And if they pass what we've put together on the table, they will get that. But like I will tell everybody, this is not repeal. What we're trying to do is rescue that patient, rescue that small business owner, so they have opportunity in that marketplace for not only them, their families, but their workers.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on that, of course, that vote. When that comes through, we probably want to talk to you again. But I want to ask you about when it comes to defunding sanctuary cities, when it comes to defunding or knocking down the EPA, when it comes really specifically to defunding Planned Parenthood, do you ever see Congress accomplishing those goals?
I do, James, and it may take an insidious type of challenge. One of those things that I may have brought up to you before, but in other interviews, is violations of the purse, violations of the power of the purse. And that comes back to the Anti-Deficiency Act. This act was brought in by Congress in the late 1800s, and where it came about is our defense industry, our defense agency, actually entered into side agreements outside of the budget of Congress, and Congress reeled them in. And basically what it says is Congress must pass the statute in which things dwell, and then fund it specifically before you can spend a nickel or a dime, or a penny for that matter. We got something like $700 billion plus in our budget that is unallocated, unstatutorily funded liabilities that agencies are just willy-nilly spending. This goes back to this incidents of Hoover and Roosevelt, and they have taken the lead, and then Congress has advocated it. We're actually working on such a bill that actually would be a lawsuit that would actually challenge that. And if we're right, if we're successful in that application to the Supreme Court, then those unmandated, unauthorized funds from Congress throughout the agencies go away.
Well, I would really like to see that. That would be very, toothy, if you will. But at the same time, it's kind of amazing to me that we don't have the will, now that we have the power, we don't have the will just to shut it down on a vote.
Well, here's the thing, James. Good process makes good policy, which makes good politics. We have lost our way in Congress, and it's gone off the deep end a long time ago. If John Boehner didn't know the process, Paul Ryan hasn't seen the process. We need a new look at how do we get process right. It doesn't mean that you take your bill that you come up with, like as in the healthcare bill, and then send it to the chairman of Ways and Means and Energy and Commerce. Not allow any real constructive amendments at that process, and say, okay, here's what you're going to have, and almost went to the floor saying, take it or leave it, and making the comment, this is a binary choice. That binary choice is either you're with us or you're for Obamacare. No, I don't take that. And
Right.
neither did my colleagues.
And for
so
that
there's
reason,
something to revel in this, James.
Say that one more time.
There's something that we should revel is because of what the Freedom Caucus actually did. We're making a bill palatable and better. And we're trying to retool the
I'm going to give you
learn a new trick.
I'm going to give you mad props for that, and we're going to be talking to you again as soon as it passes. Representative Gosar, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
All right, my friends, you're listening to 104.1 KQTH. You are listening to 104.1 KQTH Tucson's News and Talk. We just spent that half an hour with Representative Paul Gosar. He's part of the Freedom Caucus. And as I was looking on Facebook, I see that a lot of people were very, very upset as he was explaining what was happening with Obamacare repeal and replace and with the budget. If you want to respond to Representative Gosar's comments, 520-751-1041 is the telephone number. Dr. Tom, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Did the last half of that conversation remind you that the county fair just ended and they're cleaning out the barns in the livestock department? Was there a stench in any of that? You know those guys that decided that they were going to stand up and be totally opposed to the passage of the Obama 2 bill? Did anybody of those folks stand up and say, you know what, that Planned Parenthood thing really smells? This smells. Let's get rid of non-essentials and let's see what happens to the government, and then we start over.
As I was listening to him and sort of reading between the lines, he said a lot, Dr. Tom, it was very, very interesting, especially when it related to the establishment, to the leadership in the House.
Yeah, and he didn't mention John or Jeffy or Martha by names or anything.
Well,
which
he
is
just
cool.
said our two senators. He just, everybody knows our two senators.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
But what happened to the courage that these people had to say, no, this isn't Obama 2 going to get passed? And then they just said, well, because the silence.
Are we talking about Obamacare or are we talking about the budget?
Well, the Obamacare, the courage that they had to oppose that, and their lack of courage to say, this budget really smells badly also.
Well, now he did allude to the fact that this was more of the same that he was talking about the last time he was with us. The duplicity of the leadership to give us a 1,500-page bill and expect for us to read it in 3 days. They didn't expect for you to read it at all. They just expect for you to say, "Is this or nothing? Is our way or the highway?" He did say that.
Yeah, I know, but but it's going to go through anyway.
Oh, sure it is. Sure, it is.
That's because we just can't throw the anchor out and go, wait a minute. No, we're not playing the status quo. Status quo will continue to win.
I have to look this up. I don't think he voted for it. But we're talking about spitting in the wind here, especially with the Freedom Caucus. And I will tell you this, once I got involved to find out what was going on, of course, they were blamed for holding the whole thing up. And even when I listen to a lot of different other radio talkers, they still are blaming the Freedom Caucus for holding the whole thing up. But in our conversations with him, I really do believe that they were standing on principle. And the changes that they made, well, we'll see. But I do believe that they were standing on principle. What I found curious is once they started to make headway, then all of a sudden the moderates started to, all of their ballyhooing, and you're still left with the same thing, nothing.
It all looks very similar, so I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, I wish you a wonderful day.
Dr. Tom, thank you very much for calling in today. We go to Lori from the great state of Louisiana. Welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hey, beautiful man.
Hey, Lori.
Okay. You know why I'm so mad? I told you last month that I paid just for myself $700 a month for insurance and have a very high deductible just for myself. I got my paycheck today. Okay? It's the first. Less $100. My insurance went up another $100 while they're messing around. They're messing around with my life.
I think there are many Americans who are feeling the same anger, seething anger that you are, especially not only with the Obamacare issue, but then when they woke up this morning and found out about this omnibus bill as well, Lori. And I'm just wondering, I'm sensing that there is a boiling point coming here with the American people and the way Washington is conducting our business?
I'm boiling. I'm at the point.
Mhm.
I'm fixing to have to drop my health insurance. I can't afford it anymore. I have to eat. And that's what it's come down to. Eat, insurance. Insurance, eat. Which one do you think I have to go with?
You got to eat.
I got to eat. No choice.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I mean, they backed me into a corner.
When I asked Representative Gosar, will these changes bring about a lowering of the premiums, he gave the indication
he did he?
Huh? No, he said that it would.
I don't believe that because I'm 57 years old, and in my history, the only thing that ever goes down once it's gone up is the price of gasoline. That's the only thing
Lori,
in my life that's ever gone down.
There are many people who are jaded and disillusioned because of what has been happening. We've come off that high, and now that Congress is dealing with it, we have no confidence, zero confidence in Congress, and for good reason. Lori, thank you very much for calling in today.
Okie doke.
All righty, let's go to Janelle. Janelle, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hey, James T.
How you doing?
All I heard was another person passing the buck. I really don't care how many factions they've split into, but people came out to vote because we are being crushed, especially here in Arizona. Our family of four paid $2,200 a month this last year for our insurance. We paid as much for insurance as a lot of people I know make in a year. I'm a gardener, for Pete's sake. We can't afford this kind of thing. So we get everybody out to vote, and now, we have a Republican president. We have a Republican Senate and House, and they still can't get things done. I was listening to an earlier caller, and I'm sorry, but I disagree with him. I don't think Republicans are going to turn out to vote in this next election coming up because they're disgusted. We're not only angry, we're disgusted.
Yeah, but are they disgusted with Trump?
Well, Trump has to have the backup of Congress to get this stuff passed. So Trump isn't running in the next election. Congress is.
But yeah, and I think these congressmen that are running in the next election, if they are still screwing around with this stuff, I think they're in trouble. And I don't think the Democrats are going to prosper because of it. But if there are people who are, disgruntled people are jumping into the races all the time. If someone is half decent, I think that a lot of these Republicans who are playing these games, once they become identified, they might be in trouble. You know what, Janelle? They may put up a dupe. I get the sense that the American people are now, we're at the pitchfork and torches mode.
Listen, James T., everybody, do you remember what it felt like election night?
Yes.
We're sitting there watching the returns coming in, and we're giggling. We are joyous because now we have a chance. And there were a lot of independents. And come on, it's the independents that settle this thing. So the Republicans are screwing over their base right now, and
yes.
They're going to be so disgusted they're not going to show up.
No, but see,
independents, they're going to say, why the heck should we go in?
You might be right, Janelle. You might be right, but I just get the sense that the people who are upset now, they're not upset with Trump. They're very frustrated with Congress. In Congress, both Democrats and Republicans are about to. I don't think they see what's coming.
We're not upset with Trump, but listen, people aren't going to trust Republicans after this.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. We don't trust them now. My trust is gone. It only took 100 days. It's gone. But I still believe that President Trump can do something, but we're in worse shape than we thought, because in draining the swamp means you're going to have to drain the leadership of the Republican Party. Janelle, thank you very much for the call today. That's right. You're listening to 104.1 KQTH Tucson's News and Talk. We have the lovely Erin Christensen in studio. Erin, welcome to 104.1 KQTH.
Hey, thanks.
It is, it's just as lovely outside as you are in studio.
Aw, that's
It's
so
like,
sweet.
it's getting to be like hot.
You know, I think a lot of folks enjoyed the cool down over the weekend. I guess you just weren't one of them.
No, it's disturbing to me. It's discombobulating when I walk outside and it's bright and sunny and it's chilly. Nippy. Not nippy.
Nippy?
Not nippy. I take that back.
Come on.
I take that back. Cool. It's cooler.
Right.
Right.
Well, we do have a big warming trend on the way.
Yes.
So whereas we're about 90 today, we'll be at 92 tomorrow, 94 Wednesday, 96 Thursday, and Cinco de Meltdown for our Friday, Cinco de Mayo. We are looking at our first 100-degree day of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm glad you
That
think
is
so.
outstanding.
It's almost 21 days earlier, if that 100 comes to fruition, 21 days earlier than is normal.
So then, Ross, you were right because you were complaining that it's going to be in the 90s and stuff. And you said, that's.
No, I accept it in May, even though I hate it. I will not tolerate it in March.
Right.
That's all I said.
He doesn't like that kind of heat in March.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas,
March is gone, April's gone.
Now, yeah, we're in May.
It's May, baby.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Uno de Mayo.
Uno de Mayo? Is that how you say that? Wow. What? Did we both say it right and we're just surprised that we said it right?
No.
Oh, wait.
No?
It's not Uno de Mayo? Mayo de Uno? Uno?
Why wouldn't it be? Cinco de Mayo is the 5th of May.
Are we getting
So
in
it's the
trouble
first
here, Ross, with
Would it be 1 of May? Does
with
that
my
sound wrong? 1
Mexican
of May?
brothers and sisters?
I don't know.
Stop.
I took French in high school.
Just stop.
Although I did take Spanish in college. Anywho.
Yes, indeed. Well,
Yeah.
I was. You know what? I haven't been out hiking in a while because I've just been confused by the weather. I'm to the point now where I don't like the wind. I don't like hiking in wind.
You're never happy.
I am happy. I am. I am very happy. It's just that when
It's got to be 95.
Right.
No wind.
Right.
Crystal clear blue skies.
Well, mostly at nighttime because I only
Not a
hike.
drop of
I hike
rain.
mostly at night or very very early in the morning.
Right.
So that when by the time the sun comes up, I want to be almost to the to the parking lot. Walking out of the wilderness.
Something wrong with
into
you.
the parking lot because I don't like the direct sunlight. Direct sunlight on me is could be harmful. So.
Truth be told, you don't like people. You just don't want to run into anybody.
Oh my gosh, she spilled the beans. She spilled the beans. All these people keep running up on me, and it's crazy.
Because how could you not like the sunshine and the heat and talk so much about how you love the sunshine and the heat?
I love the heat, and I love the sunshine. That doesn't necessarily mean I like it directly on me.
What?
What?
No.
Yes, I can.
no,
I can have
no.
shade. I can have shade. I don't have to be hiking out in it. I can have shade and enjoy
right.
it. I can be
Okay.
out in the morning and come home before it gets real
Okay.
super hot. I don't walk the dog when I used to didn't walk my dog when it was super hot. I would do it early in the morning. So yeah, I like the heat. Oh, see now, okay, you people.
We'll see about when you're floating in the pool again.
Oh, yeah, that's
we'll
beautiful.
see about that.
Okay, that's outstanding now. Okay, I like direct heat when I'm floating
I'm
in the
going to
pool.
take a picture of you floating in your pool,
Yeah.
enjoying the direct sunshine
Yeah.
and the heat.
Yes.
Boom.
Well, that's because I'm in the pool. I can, go down deeper in the water and, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You're listening to 104.1 KQTH, Tucson's News and Talk.